There's a rhythm to Team Fortress 2 that old heads, those that have played the game for a few thousand hours or so, know by heart. You play and you burn out, and eventually you drift away into other games, other parts of your life, divorced from the screen. Yet, somehow, some always, this game will always call you back with its siren song. It isn't the kind of game you truly quit. It simply lingers like an old friend who remains familiar the moment you reconnect. Every return feels both strange and comfortable, as if no time has passed, and yet you know you've changed since the last time. This strange pull is what makes Team Fortress 2 more than just another shooter, but a digital experience that embeds itself into your habits, your memory, your muscle memory, and your identity as a player. Burnout itself, of course, isn't unique to TF2. Any pursuit that becomes routine eventually dulls, and what once felt like a mastery begins to taste like monotony. At first, the repetition brings excitement, sharpening your mechanics, experimenting with new weapons, new strategies, learning these new maps inside and out. But repetition without balance becomes exhausting, and soon the spark fades into ash. You find yourself logging in out of habit rather than joy, and every match begins to blur into the next. The fire that once lit up your evenings slowly burns into smoke and fatigue. There are philosophers that warned about this problem long before video games existed. The Stoics, for instance, often wrote about the danger of confusing constant activity with true meaning. Marcus Aurelius, the GOAT, reflected on the need to live in alignment with what restores the soul, rather than endlessly chasing diversions that would drain it. For burnout is not so much failure as it is a natural signal, a kind of inner wisdom that tells us to step away and realign with purpose. In that sense, the loss of joy in Team Fortress 2, after long hours of play, isn't a weakness. It's a reminder to find balance. The body and the mind whisper the same message. Enough, at least for now. And yet, TF2 carries a twist that sets it apart. Even when you step away from it, you never really let go. The game carries a strange gravity, pulling you back months or even years after you've set it aside. It might be triggered by something small, like hearing the crack of a crit from Soldier's rocket launcher or any of the classes calling for medic. Or oftentimes you might hear a sound effect from the game in another media, and suddenly the desire to queue up returns with surprising force, as though it had been waiting quietly inside you this whole time. This game is not discarded. It lingers as a dormant passion, resurfacing when the time is right. Nietzsche once wrote about the concept of eternal recurrence, the idea that life repeats itself endlessly, looping through its moments again and again. In a strange way, Team Fortress 2 embodies this cycle. You step away convinced you've moved on, and yet eventually you find yourself installing it again, playing that map you got tired of before, playing that one game mode you swore was so boring to your friends, but now you find yourself enjoying. Each return is both the same and different. You are not the same player you once were. This eternal loop can be both comforting and uncanny when experiencing it, reminding you how passions never fully die, but instead transform. For Team Fortress 2 is a mirror for this philosophical rhythm, its cycle repeating across your life as you play it. In this sense, burnout is not simply a dead end, but a necessary transformation. Hermetic philosophy suggests that fire consumes until it transforms, and Team Fortress 2 functions as that crucible. Burnout forces you to set the game aside, to let your energy shift into other pursuits, passions, other corners of your life. Yet because the flame never fully extinguishes, the break becomes kind of like alchemy. You leave exhausted, but you return with fresh eyes, noticing things you had long taken for granted. What once felt like confusion suddenly feels alive and noticed, and the cycle itself is renewed. Taking breaks, then, is not weakness but wisdom. Just as the body requires to sleep to rebuild and grow stronger, to heal, the mind requires absence from what it loves in order to rediscover its value. If you force yourself to do anything but to play TF2 endlessly, it ceases to be the source of joy and instead becomes burdensome. By stepping away, you preserve the game's magic and allow yourself to heal. The craving that builds in your absence ensures that when you return, you do so with a spark rather than with fatigue. In this balance lies the key to sustaining a lifelong connection with anything. The lessons of TF2 burnout, in this game nichely specifically stretch far beyond gaming itself. In life, anything repeated endlessly. Burnout is not a sign that your choice was wrong, but rather a sign that you have forgotten balance. This is why even the most cherished passions need rest, and why renewal often only comes through absence. In its persistence and cyclical nature, Team Fortress 2 becomes a teacher of this principle. It shows us that things worth keeping are not things we cling to every day, but things we allow to ebb and flow with time. In the end, Team Fortress 2 becomes something larger than a pastime. It becomes a mirror for how we handle passion itself. You do not have to play forever to prove your loyalty. Instead, the deeper wisdom is to step back when you must, so that when you return, you do so not as a tired addict, but as a player reborn, and that cycle, the endless return, the flame rekindled, is what makes Team Fortress 2 eternal in the lives of those who love it. And as always, take care and beware.